Yo, this is Ben Cubbage from Elevated Trips at elevatedtrips.com. We're here at Qinghai Lake in the grasslands, and this is kind of a little bit of a horse riding center and homestay. We're going to be experiencing the Tibetan grasslands and nomad life, as well as checking out some horses and just kind of feeling what it's like to be at one of the largest lakes, most holy lakes in all of Tibet this week. A broken down car behind me that's kind of surrounded by a whole bunch of yak poop, which is a funny fusion of two different, very different ages of transportation here. You have the car, which of course is the modern age, and then the yak poop behind me, which is traditionally how Tibetans would have gotten around these mountains. You can see behind me snowy mountains. It's the first week of April and there's still snow in the mountains, and there could be snow there all year round. Tibetans really live in a super barren place. There's not a lot going here as far as vegetables or things that grow, and so most of them depend on yaks, horses, sheep, most of their livestock as far as getting them around, and then as far as eating as well. So really just kind of barren grass out here, and that's really it. Just woke up, walked out of my hotel, and the ground here at Qinghai Lake is just covered with this beautiful magic sprinkling of snow. It just had this kind of light snowfall, about a half an inch last night, and we're standing on the shores of Qinghai Lake, and it is just beautiful. So I just really want to show you guys some of the snow and some of the mountains around Qinghai Lake, because this is just a gorgeous part of Western China that most people have never even heard of.
Qinghai Lake is historically known as Kokanor, and this is a Mongolian word for blue or teal sea, given by the numerous Mongolians that used to live in this area. This massive alkaline lake, located in the northeast of the Tibetan Plateau in Gangsa County in Qinghai Province, is frequently ranked first on lists of most beautiful lakes in China. Qinghai Lake is fed by 23 rivers and streams, the majority of which are seasonal. 80% of the total influx here is provided by 5 permanent rivers. For Tibetans and Tibetan Buddhists, 4 sacred lakes exist across the plateau: Lake Manasarovar, Yamdrok Lake, Namso Lake, and Qinghai Lake. The first 3 of these are all located in Tibet, and of course Qinghai Lake is in Qinghai Province. According to Tibetan beliefs, pilgrims should make a pilgrimage around the 360-kilometer perimeter of the lake to achieve better karma. Especially holy years where more merit is achieved are in the year of the goat, the year of the horse, and the year of the monkey. Some Buddhist monks even recommend this pilgrimage as a way into a better reincarnation or a way to heal sick family members.
Okay, here's the hotel situation behind me at Qinghai Lake. You can see they're just pretty common 3-star hotels. There's nothing really special. I mean, a bed and a bathroom. The rooms are warm enough, but nothing really fancy or really incredible. I'd say it's definitely below a 4-star level, somewhere kind of a 2 to 3-star level as far as cleanliness and what you can expect. But it does give you an up close and personal view of Qinghai Lake, which is just right behind me. As a foreigner, what you should know is that there's probably 50 hotels all around the Qinghai Lake area, but as a foreigner you can probably only stay in 1 or 2 of them. So if you're going to come, please contact us at elevatedtrips.com, because there's only a few of them that actually host foreigners and have a special foreigner registration. That's something that you need to know as you travel around in Western China, because a lot of hotels, I'd say probably 90% of hotels, are actually closed to foreigners, because you have to have a very special registration as a hotel to host a foreigner in China. So especially Western China, which tends to be more strict out here. So do make sure you do your homework about the hotel you're staying in. I've had a lot of friends book a hotel, they show up and then, oops, sorry, we can't host foreigners, and they spend another couple hours driving around looking for a hotel. So make sure that doesn't happen to you. Double check if your hotel can host foreigners, and especially if you're at Qinghai Lake or anywhere in Qinghai province, make sure that you know which hotels can or cannot host you. Behind me is the quite rugged toilet. Everything is pretty rugged and remote out here. It's just hard to build anything just because it's so high, and basically they're living on permafrost all the time. So everything's just kind of built out of this really low quality cement, and it's really hard to dig inside the ground. It's hard to build foundation. So this is the bathroom behind me. We'll have a little look inside. It's super simple squatties. We're here at a local Tibetan guest house that they're sort of furnishing for foreign guests. Okay, so I've lived in China for 13 years, seen a lot of the Tibetan Plateau, seen almost every place in Tibet that's open for foreigners. And I've seen a lot of great, beautiful mountains, and we do a lot of trekking. You can see our YouTube videos of that kind of stuff. But here I want to give an example of what is not such a great example of tourism, in my opinion, that integrates well with the environment. So you can see the lake behind me here. This is Qinghai Lake, the largest salt lake in China. It is a beautiful lake. Of course, it deserves reverence. And the lake shore here, just to drive around, is 360 kilometers around the lake shore. That gives you an idea of just how big this lake is. In fact, the Chinese for this word, Qinghai Hu, kind of indicates that it's like a turquoise sea, and this beautiful, large, beautiful, holy sea that's, it's so vast, it's almost difficult to see across it. So that gives you an idea of the span of this thing. However, despite that it's like 120 kilometers long and 50 kilometers wide, China has taken all the tourism and placed it in an area that's just about as big as a football field. So they put everyone in. The only way to access this lake is to come into this little Qinghai Lake National Park, and the entrance ticket's pretty high, and then you're fighting bus tours, large bus tours of 50, 60 people, and there's about 10,000 to 20,000 people that come through here in the summer. Obviously right now it's April, it's a little bit lower season now, or it's a little bit lower key, which I like to come here in the off season. But in the big seasons, you're fighting 10,000, 20,000 people in crowds, huge bus tours. They even plant flowers of rapeseeds here behind me in these fields, just so Chinese can come and take a selfie here, which is really what Chinese tourism is all about, is just taking that selfie and kind of going home. And you don't really appreciate the land, you don't meet any of the people, you don't give anything back to the local environment. And that's what park tourism here is about. It's really, really cheesy, it feels kind of forced, it's crowded, and it doesn't need to be. I've talked with the manager of the tourism bureau of Qinghai and said, I've made some suggestions that you could do this, kayaking, like hut-to-hut kind of kayaking system, or you could develop, these beautiful hikes and homestays and things like that. But they don't want to do that. They just want to create their kind of cheesy, concrete-y, forced hotel, and then host mostly Chinese people, and then they kind of push them all into this one little area, and that's kind of it. So there's so much potential here, but a lot of it is just so wasted. The problem here is really more from a foreign perspective. I think the Chinese don't mind the crowds. They live in crowded buses, they live in crowded subways every day. But as a foreigner, you come here and you're just like, this place is so beautiful. It's so amazing. It could be such a cool destination for 3 or 4 days. And instead, you just kind of get here and you're like, oh, there's actually nothing to do, because China forces everyone into that little park, which is kind of what we say in Chinese, meo isa, or boring or non-interesting for us as foreigners. We want to experience nature. We want to really get up into the mountains and feel the culture and feel the environment, which is something that Chinese don't have as a value as they travel. They just want to get on a bus and kind of take the picture, and that's good for them. So just different values as far as tourism. But according to Western values, this is not a great success in tourism, and that's that's continually what we're butting our head against in China is we're running in these national parks and you're like, yay, it's a super beautiful area. You know, in America, it'd be like Yellowstone or Grand Canyon. You'd be in this area and you'd have nature pass. You'd be able to hike and stuff. And those areas do also have a lot of tourists. I want to admit that there's millions of people going through those parks every year. So those can feel crowded as well. But it just feels a little bit better managed as far as the national park. Here in China, it just kind of feels like they kind of put you on a little public bus. You ride on a little concrete road. You walk around for 10 or 15 minutes. You take a picture with a little stone with Chinese characters, and then you're off. So that's kind of it. And so that just feels a little bit disappointing. It feels empty. It feels hollow for us as foreigners, where we just really want to, an integrated experience. We want to learn something. We want to be educated. We want to feel like our money is going towards something rather than just kind of walking a concrete path and just kind of seeing these kind of canned sites. So anyway, that's a little bit of a reflection on the tourism for me as I live here and as I travel around. I'm always kind of like coming up against this and ultimately challenging it and say, okay, where can we find the beautiful mountains? Where can we find the real places that foreigners are really going to enjoy? Please travel with us at elevatedtrips.com if you're looking for a more authentic experience than this kind of canned, forced, crowded, not very natural experience. And so, yeah, we try to get people off the beaten track, and we try to avoid places like this, especially in the summer when it's super crowded. So, yeah, if you're looking for something a little bit more authentic, integrated, contact with the local people, educational, puts back into the environment, puts back into the local communities, that's us. That's our mission and our vision, is that we want to help local Tibetan communities. We want to raise up people through tourism. Help us and help travel wisely and safely and sustainably by traveling with us at elevatedtrips.com. Subscribe to our channel. Check us out for more an adventure in seeing the most rugged, beautiful places, undiscovered places in China and Tibet. This is Ben Cubbage from elevatedtrips.com, and we'll see you in the next video.